Hey guys, I'm Angela and welcome back to Hobby Night. Now today I want to go ahead and work on a scale model project, but it's not like I really have a lot of those kinds of builds just laying around the house. So we're going to head out to my local hobby shop to find something to build. All right, we have arrived at Hobbies Unlimited. Let's go ahead and find ourselves a tank to build. All right, so we're inside now, and this place is packed full of model kits. Like a whole bunch of different brands, a whole bunch of different styles. It's super, super cool. But I am here specifically to look for a tank. But I thought first we'd just, peek around and see what they have. A bunch of model cars, which are rad. Oh, I actually didn't know Hot Wheels did model cars. That makes sense, but not something I looked into specifically. How very cool. I do love the planes. I have built at least one plane on the channel. You guys can go check that out later if you want. But I think today we're definitely gonna get a tank, although these two look really cool. They also have a bunch of IP-based things over here. So I think it's, yes. You could get the Batwing, the Tumbler, a Batmobile. Oh, dude, these look really cool actually. Star Wars ones. Hell yeah. Let's see, we got an X-Wing, an Imperial TIE Fighter. Dude, these are, oh, wait. Is this a Bad Batch? Okay, this is not something I'm gonna be building today, but I think I'm gonna be buying this because what? I didn't know they made a Bad Batch model. Holy cow. I am definitely taking this. There's also a bunch of older ones here too. Dude, there are so many cool things. All right, I'm getting too distracted. I'm getting too distracted. Also, Woodland Scenics. Some of this is coming home today too. I have been getting funding for this, and we're going to be taking some of this home with us. Okay, here is actually where we want to be, because we're looking for tanks. I honestly, hold on. I have my Star Wars ship here. Take this. Okay, I've handed off. I've handed off the Star Wars ship that's coming home with me today. Now, I specifically am looking for a Panzer. That is what I think I want to build today, and I'm hoping. Oh, yes. In fact, we have a couple right here. Okay, I need to take a look around and see specifically which one I want to build, but I am in the right area. I'll check back with you guys when I found what I want. All right, so I've rounded the corner and I found the Tamiya kits, which are the ones that I was actually looking for. And I am seeing some good options here already. I still think I'm going to lean towards a Panzer, but honestly, the Sherman would be cool. Doing some of the other tanks would be also very cool. Like a Panther would be cool. The Archer would be kind of cool. But I am really thinking about that German Panzer tank. Ooh. Maybe this one? Maybe this one, perhaps. This could be cool. All right, I'm going to take a look around, and I'll come back to you now, officially, when I have made my decision. All right, well, I picked out a couple of different Panzer tanks, and I'm not 100% sure of the difference. So if you could tell me a little bit about these three that I found from the Tamiya kits. Now, they're all the same scale, from my understanding, but this is a Panzer 1, a Panzer 3, and a Panzer 4? Is that what the difference is predominantly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on tanks, but basically, the Germans were prolific. They made hundreds of different kinds of tanks.
Right.
Where the U.S. made 2 or 3 different kinds.
Got it.
But so this was an early light tank. See how small?
Yes.
Very small tank.
Got it. And this is one of the earliest ones, maybe?
So they had to they got bigger. World War I, they used small. They used those big old funny looking tanks.
Right.
Then they started building tanks, but they were very small.
Got it.
So then this is a medium sized tank like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the next size up, and then the next one would be the Tiger ones.
Okay.
Like in
Oh, that's where how the progression works actually.
Private Ryan.
Yes. Okay, I've seen that movie once actually.
That was a Sherman. That would be like that Sherman on that big box up there.
Got it.
That would be like That's the Americans' heavy tank, and the Germans would have been Tiger 1, King Tigers or Tiger 1s.
Okay, awesome.
So, yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards actually the like earliest one is what I might end up picking up.
That would be a very early one.
Very early one.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I think this might be the one.
It
I'm
would be a
taking.
lightweight tank. The tanks got bigger as they started progressing.
Thank you for the information. That was very helpful. I'm back from Hobby Unlimited with my Panzer. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is in this box. This is actually a much more modern kit than the previous one that I built, the Merkava, which was from the 80s. And I think this is from 2019. So I'm going to be curious to see if the treads are going to be similar in this one to the other one, because those ones were rubber. This is just a nice little pamphlet that we have telling us about the Panzer in a couple different languages, which is pretty cool. We have our instruction guide here, which will give us a peek at whether or not those treads are going to be the same. So let's take a look at the instructions. First, it looks like we're building the body. Makes sense. Ooh, okay, it does look like we have different treads. These are looking like a hard plastic rather than being rubber, which is very intriguing. I hope to see those in the box. Obviously, they probably will be there. But let's finish taking a look at the guide before we move on. I really like how detailed these particular guides are, because not only do they tell you how to build the piece, but they also tell you how to paint it as well if you're wanting to follow it historically accurately, which is very awesome. Then we also have a little bit more information about painting and applying decals and all that on the back. Now, this is what I've been most interested in, taking a look at the plastic pieces inside, and already I can see the tread. And yes, they are a hard plastic. I wonder if this is going to end up being way easier to put together or way harder to put together than the rubber. Because like with the rubber, I ended up having to heat up like some metal and bind it together. And obviously I'm not going to be doing that with this. This is just going to be using glue. So I'm hoping it's going to go a lot smoother, but it might take a little bit more time. It'll be very, very interesting. So this is the last piece that seems to go with the tread and the wheels. It really looks cool. So this is the body of the piece of our tank, looking amazing. I really love the detailing on these with all the rivets, all the line work and everything. We also have a figure in here, which is pretty rad. And we've got one more sprue to look at. Looks pretty amazing. So the last thing that we have in here is a couple of extra pieces for when we're building, as well as some of the metal pieces that I'm not, like, I don't know where this mesh is specifically going to go, but I'm looking forward to finding out when we're building. And we also have our decals, which I probably will not be putting on in this episode. I don't plan on painting the tank this time, but depending on how well this video does, we might talk about that for a future video. We also have just a Tamiya tech tips for using the various materials that you'll need when working on this particular set. And then finally, just at the bottom of the box, they give you a little bit more information. And that is everything that comes in our Panzer box. Now let's get to building. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump into the video real quick to remind you to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications so that you never miss any of the hobby content that we make here on the channel. We're at the gluing step, and I'm going to be using the Tamiya Extra Thin Cement. Now, this is the same product line as the Tamiya kit that I'm working on, but the main reason I'm using it is because I actually like it for most plastic glues. It has this amazing brush tip applicator, and this just makes gluing things really, really easy. Now, one of the things that I want to do with this glue and the way to make it work best is to apply the glue to both sections that you're going to be assembling. This way it gets a stronger bond. So I'm gonna put a little bit here in this first step. Get a little bit on this panel because this is where this is gonna go. There we go. And we're gonna press them together. Now I did do a dry fit before getting started to see how this was going to assemble. I'm just gonna hold it in place. And we're gonna keep doing that for each of these pieces as we assemble them together. You can also, and this is one of the benefits of the brush tip applicator, if you feel like you need to, I'm a little nervous, you can use the brush tip to apply a little bit extra glue in those seams just to hold it in place. We're still in the gluing stage, but I have to switch from the Tamiya glue to something that is going to work on both metal and plastic because we have a little tiny mesh that needs to go over this grill and they need to be attached together. So for that, I'm going to be using Zap-A-Gap as opposed to the Tamiya glue. This will just work really well, take a little bit longer to dry, but should give us plenty of strength and hold those pieces together. Now what I'm going to do, once I get the flow going on this glue, there we go. I'm gonna put a little bit on a palette here off to the side, and I have a brush that I have absolutely destroyed with glue previously. This is just something that I would never use on my miniatures or had gotten really ratty, so I sacrificed it to the glue gods, and I use this to actually place a little bit of glue more controlled on the piece. Similar to why I really like the Tamiya glue, this just gives me a little bit more control. And I don't feel like I'm overflowing things, especially since I find my Zap-A-Gap glues always end up getting clogged and end up having flow problems. Now this can be a little bit tedious because unlike the stuff that's in the Tamiya glue, this will just gum up the fibers of the brushes, and so it ends up getting really stiff and hard and you don't get as much of a actual flow. But I still find it a lot easier to do than just using the glue as is, and I never hold on to those applicators. Absolutely never. The ones that come in these things, they always end up disappearing and I lose them, so it's always a problem. Where is my mesh? All right, let's get this on here quickly so I can remove my fingers so I don't get stuck to this. All right, and there we go. It's on there. I'm gonna let it dry a little bit and then we'll glue the rest of everything down. I have completed the treads and honestly, they went together a lot more smoothly than I actually had been anticipating. I was really worried they were going to be incredibly fiddly because I had these small individual pieces. Like I even have one or two left. So you can see right here, I had a bunch of little individual pieces like this and I was really concerned they were going to be super, super finicky, but it went together so smooth and I'm really pleased with how the tank is coming together. So we're pretty much at the halfway point. The next steps are to continue to clip things out, cleaning them up and assembling them. And the main things that we have left to put on the tank are a couple of things that go over the treads here just to protect them, a couple other details on the outside of the hull. And then the last thing that we need to take care of is building the turret, which I think is going to be the most fun. So let's go ahead and get to that. And here she is, my Panzer T38 tank. I absolutely love this tiny little tank. It is so gosh darn cute. And I absolutely know that's probably not the way you should feel about a Panzer T38 tank. However, when you compare it to the previous tank that I built, which is the Merkava, which is significantly larger, I just can't help but think of this as a tiny, adorable little tank. And that's always how it's going to be in my head from now on. And I really actually liked this build compared to the Merkava tank. Now they both had unique features. For example, the Merkava is a much older kit. So it had actually a lot more varying materials that you were working with as you were building it. Not only was I using some harder plastics, but I also was working with some clear plastics, some metal, as well as some rubber for the treads. Whereas with the Panzer, it was almost entirely a hard plastic, with one rare exception of using a little metal panel and then having a couple of rubber spools that I put in for some of the guns. And honestly, that was such an interesting change to me. Now, obviously, the Panzer is a lot easier to build. Putting the treads together was so much faster, it was so much easier, but gosh darn it, I kind of miss being able to play with fire, because that's what I got to do with the Merkava. So one little knock to the Panzer build, but other than that, I absolutely loved it. Now that I have these builds under my belt, I'm actually ready to move on and start looking at potentially painting some of these models. So I am going to propose a question to you that I'd love for you to answer down in the comments below. I want to know, would you rather see me paint up the much larger Merkava tank, or would you rather see me paint up the smaller Panzer tank? For me, I'm going to be delighted to paint either of them. I am just ready to get some paint on these models. But I'd like to see what you would want to see me actually paint more, because that's really important and it'll help the video do better. So do let me know down in the comments, Merkava or Panzer, which do you want to see me paint? With that out of the way, I want to thank you guys for watching this episode. If you did enjoy this, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications. And to my patrons, thank you guys for supporting us. Without you doing this, we would not be making content like this. So thank you very, very much. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.